Y'all know what time it is, man. Let me make sure everything is exactly what it's supposed to be. I was a little hot. Let me turn that down a little bit. All right, all right. We sounding good. You always got to check the levels and you got to make sure it went live, y'all. You got to check the volume. Yep. Shout out to EV Mux. I have not had a lot of the issues that I was having since I switched over to them. Let's make sure Instagram good. Instagram don't know how to act sometimes. Shout out to Instagram for acting right this time. My peoples, my peoples. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I was like having some like connection issues, and I was going through everything to troubleshoot and see what was wrong with my connection and why everything wasn't the way it's supposed to be. And right before I went on here, like right before I went live, I clicked on Facebook and uh, I seen a post that one of my childhood friends just passed, and it kind of threw off the course of what I was gonna do. But having to fix the internet and make sure that my connection was good, it kind of gave me time to get my head straight, and everything lead back to everything happened for a reason, and my guy, he was going through some things, man. And I seen somebody post maybe a week or so ago, and they were asking like, "Dang, do anybody like feel bad, seeing him because he hadn't been himself since he had a car accident. It was probably like 15 years ago or something." And I commented like, "Man, that was like one of the first guys that I got cool with when I came to Detroit from Ben Harbor." And just to see that today, it was like, dang, that was crazy because I don't see him a lot. Like I like very rarely see him. And for somebody when they brung that up like last week, it kind of like made me think about it. And I just remember him always coming to get me, him and his brother. And I end up being a lot cooler with some of his family members. Shout out to Larnell. And rest in peace to Lil D, man. I'm not gonna waste a whole lot of the live being sad or being down. I'm not even really that type of person most of the time, but this was kind of crazy. It was like I don't sit on the internet a lot. I kind of post and pivot, if you know what I mean. I like post and get off of there. I try to like a little something while I'm on there, to be active. I know how the algorithms work. I've been dealing with social media for a really, really long time. So I know they want to see you active, liking stuff, sharing stuff. So I do try to do that, but I just try to do it in spurts because the internet, it'll suck you in. Like once you get on there, you like it's like hard to get off sometimes. And I found myself doing that while I was in school. Like I'd be sitting at my desk and I would like basically get a text or something or get a notification or whatever it may be. And I end up in my phone. And while I'm in my phone, it'll turn into 2, 3 hours of me scrolling. You know what I'm saying? So knowing that that's what it's made for, I decided to turn off all of my notifications. I don't even get notifications from social media. And it's kind of crazy because some people would consider me like an influencer. I got these little followers or whatnot. And I do post content that do get a little bit of reaction sometimes, probably a little more than sometimes. But I never trip on the numbers as long as I'm being consistent with my message and what I'm trying to get across about myself. But I never had an incident um, where I would, like run across something like right before I went live. Like this was the first time that something like touched me right before I went live. Like I basically had this all set up. I wouldn't have even seen this. I'm telling you, I had like some internet things going on, and it's probably still a little funky. I'm looking at it now. The internet probably still a little funky. But I was like having like some little internet thing going on. I'm checking everything, and I only ended up on Facebook just to see if I can get on Facebook. Like, okay, let me see if everything working. And that's crazy. Like once again, man, Rest in peace to Lil D, man, Lil Darren. Um, to the message at hand, this particular live, the people call this like a podcast or whatever. It's really a live. I can repurpose the content, and I may start repurposing the content um, going forward. But I would have to communicate with the knowledge of that being for a podcast. The other things that I did before this, it was not podcast material. These were definitely just me brain dumping on a live. So if I did podcast material, it'd be a lot more prepared, a lot more laid out. Most of these are just me freestyling. Like basically, I get an idea and I think about the idea a little bit, especially like while I'm setting up, and then I just turn the camera on. And if I wanted to do it like a podcast, I would actually plan it out more. I would plan it out in sections, and it would have a whole format because that's what um, the main difference is between what I'm doing in podcasting is the formatting. With podcasts, there are certain parameters that is not necessarily you have to do it, but it's like industry standards. So I did want to touch on why everything is falling apart. So I've been one of those entrepreneurs that have let my personal life interfere with my business. And I'm gonna tell you it's kind of hard to separate it. So when you think about everything falling apart, a lot of times if your business is falling apart, it's because your personal life is falling apart. And a lot of us, we don't look at our personal life as much as we look at our business because our business is what we invest in. Our business is what we can see quantitative results from. And your life, you may not necessarily see that, especially if you are already doing okay in life. Like if you already have a decent crib, decent house, some savings, you are not financially unstable, then you never take real account of your life because you feel like everything is going well. With your business, you know when things are falling apart because you're looking at the bank account, you're looking at whatever you owe to vendors or whoever else, and you saying, okay, this is getting a little tight. I need to tighten up. But in your life, you don't take the same type of time to do audits and to see where you are, where you want to be, and what you need to do to get there. So a lot of times everything is falling apart at the same time. You just haven't looked at your life long enough to realize that your life is actually falling apart too. I know it's a little crazy to think about, but everything coincides. If your life is in shambles, your business is probably in shambles. Sometimes that could be a lot farther from the truth. And that is based on how much effort and time you give to your business. Because you could be giving your business 100% of your time and your relationship could be falling apart. And you could be giving uh, your business 5% of your time and that's falling apart, but your relationship can be thriving. The main thing is that you have to find some happy medium that you are making progress in your business and you are also fulfilling the needs that you have with your significant other or your kids or whatever else you have within your house and your other commitments outside of your business. This is where you have to be a real entrepreneur and you have to keep up with your numbers and keep up with how you are assessing the situation with your family and friends. If this is something that's important to you, if you feel like being a family man, a father, a husband is something that you want to do, you have to consistently audit what's going on in that aspect of your life too. That aspect is usually audited in qualitative measures. And what qualitative measures are is the quality. So if you are not giving your relationship the time it deserves, then your relationship is probably falling apart. But it's nothing to quantify that relationship falling apart because you don't say my relationship is at a 6 today and it's actually something you can measure. That is something that's opinionated, right? And equality is different to everybody. So if you think your relationship is a 6 and you think that that's okay and you want to move towards a 7 and 8 sooner or later, but the person that you with feel like your relationship is at a 4 and they're completely unhappy, That's something that you have to deal with, or you're going to lose the relationship. If you feel like your business is at an 8, but your business is really operating at a 6, you can see it in your bank account. You can see it in your lack of clients or customers. You can actually see that your relationship is um is you can't see that your relationship is falling apart until someone says something, because somebody can lie in your face. I talked to one of my guys and he was talking about how his relationship fell apart, and he had been in this relationship almost a decade. So you can be in a relationship and you could be overconfident where that relationship stands, but in your business it's a lot more quantitative. You can actually see that your bank account is short. You can actually see that you have not made a sale this week, or you have not acquired a new client this week. Whatever it is in your business, you have quantitative measures that you can look at and say that this is not where I want it to be. In your life, everything is qualitative unless you've set a goal and you say, well, I want to make $1 million by next year. And then you look at it and you only made $100,000. It's pretty obvious that you aren't where you want to be. If that's the case, if you've set a goal, and let's say the goal is $500,000 and you made $750,000, you know that you did better in your business. Is that simple? That's it. If you feel like your business is not being measured by the right quantitative measure, then you can go and change the measure. Maybe you don't want to measure your business success or failure by revenue or profits. Maybe you want to measure your business success or failure by how many clients you can get, or how many people use your service to do something great with. It's just all different based on whatever your service is. Obviously, if you are a nonprofit, you are being paid by whoever is funding the nonprofit. So your success or failure is not based on clients. It's not based on uh, how many gadgets you can sell. Your success or failure as a nonprofit is based on impact. And if you can make a greater impact, then you'll make more money because you can apply for more funding. You can raise more funding. You can acquire more funding just by making sure that you are handling your business and that you are sticking true to your mission statement in a nonprofit. But in a profit business, a for profit business, your measure of success is usually a lot more quantitative, whether that be social media following, whether that be clients that you onboard, whether that be revenue generated, profit generated. Is some KPI, key performance indicator, that you can use to say that business is succeeding or failing in your life. There is nothing that you can do that with in no aspect of your life unless you have set a monetary goal. Now, you can set a goal and say, hey, I want to finish school by this day. That's not quantitative, it's qualitative. It's just basically based on the quality of life that you want to provide for yourself and your family. But quantitatively, you could say, I want to keep a 3.9 grade point average or higher. That's a quantitative KPI because you can quantify that. You know that it's hit or miss. I did not get a 3.9. I got a 3.78. I missed. I got a 3.93. Okay, this is a failure. But in your business, you can go years of failing without even realize you're failing because you can overthink the money. So you may think you're making a profit, but if you are not watching your numbers and you are not watching how much you're spending, then you can think, well, I went and bought 100 of these hats and I know that I'm making $10 a hat, whatever. So I'm making $1,000 off these 100 hats. Yeah, you can, make it that simple. but you have other costs involved. You may have to mail these hats out. You may have to drive to deliver these hats. You may have lost a few hats. So all of these are costs that you incur in the daily business, right? So you cannot just say, well, I'm making money unless you are actually looking at the numbers. This was an issue that I had myself, and that's why I wanted to touch base with this, right? So now let's talk about why everything is falling apart. Now that we understand quantitative and qualitative measurements and KPIs, we need to understand why everything is falling apart. Everything is falling apart because you are not measuring it. What gets measured, it gets the attention, it gets improved. That's it. If you are not measuring anything, if you are not measuring how many times people come into your store, if you are not measuring how many phone calls you get a day, if you are not measuring how many people out of those phone calls actually purchase something, then you are doing yourself a complete disservice. And that's why everything is falling apart. Everything is falling apart because you are not measuring it. What gets measured gets improved. That's it. That's it. If you cannot measure your revenue, let's say you only try to measure it once a week. Once a week, you take the time to say, okay, I'm doing this. In between that time, everything in the world could have happened. Everything in the world could have happened in between the 4 or 5 days that you did not measure in. You are falling apart in your personal life, in your business life, because you have no gauge. You are not sitting down to measure this. If you are not asking your significant other how they feel and actually taking it into consideration, you may feel you are the best husband or wife in the entire world, but you are not the person that needs to be the judge in this particular case. If you are dealing with another person whose feelings, emotions, and everything else is involved, you cannot say for a fact that your relationship is at an 8. You cannot say for a fact that your relationship is at a 6 or a 7 or 8 or 9. Anything that goes on in your relationship, any type of measurement that's being done has to be done by the people in the relationship. I was going to say 2, but some of y'all got 3, 4, and 5. If you live in a poly life, much respect to you. I used to think I was built for that life. I don't want no parts of it. I don't want nobody else problems. I don't want nobody else hard times. I got a woman, and that's the only person who need to call me and talk about whatever issue she got with anything. Everybody else can kick rocks, right? I'm just being honest, bro. So, but if you got 3 people in a relationship, then all of you guys have to sit down together and you guys can talk about whether the relationship is going good or great. And those are not quantitative measures, those are qualitative measures. So, if everything is going good, then you know that I need to just keep this up. If everything is falling apart or if they feel like it's borderline, then you know you got room for improvement. You know this. You know you have room for improvement, and it's up to you to do this. And that is only going to get done if you respect this person and want to be with this person. If you don't respect the person and you're not really too keen and happy about being with them, then you do not care how they feel about the relationship. You couldn't care less. But if you really love somebody, you are making sure that they're okay. You are making sure that their feelings are being considered in anything that you do. You are making sure that this person is as happy as you are in this relationship, or you do not need to be in a relationship. This is why everything is falling apart because you are not measuring it. Everything is falling apart because you are not keeping tabs on it. Everything is falling apart because you gave up on it, or you on your way to giving up. Excuse me. Let me rip the tag off before they get crazy. I know how they get on the internet, y'all. Right? Everything is falling apart because you are not measuring it. You are not keeping up with it. You are not um using the right KPIs. You may use some KPIs in your business, but if it's falling apart, you are not measuring it. And if you are measuring it, then you must have the wrong KPIs, right? That's the reason that anything is falling apart because you are not measuring it. If your bank account is not where you suppose where if your bank account is not where you want it, it's because you are not measuring it. When I signed up for Rocket Money or whatever that's called, let me see, I think it's called Rocket Money. When I say I signed up for that Rocket Money app, I'm talking about it changed my life. It started making me look at different things that I had subscriptions to, but it also made me look at the different things that I just pay for in general, my food expenses and my leisure expenses and whatever else. It made me realize that I'm spending extra money everywhere in the world. So that's the type of thing that I'm talking about. You actually taking the time to measure. None of us probably look at our bank statements for real, but I have been keeping up better since I got the Rocket Money app. I'm just keeping it 1,000. If you cannot keep up with whatever you're measuring in your business, whatever that KPI is, once again, KPI is the key performance indicator. If you are not keeping up with that, then you are probably falling apart in your business. You can make all the money in the world. I've done it. I've made money, and as fast as it was coming in, it was going out because I wasn't keeping up with it. And I didn't realize when I wasn't making money because I made money somewhere else. So if you are a hustler that's making money 4, 5, 6, 7 different ways, then some of those businesses are falling apart, and you need to throw them to the wayside and put the focus on what is actually working. I just did it in my business. I was pushing, pushing, pushing for certain things in my business. Whether that was coaching, I got a whole program called Real Life XP that I basically dedicated like a year and a half or a little longer to. And this was like my heart and my brainchild. But I'm looking at the statistics and the numbers that's in my software, and I'm looking like, dang, people are not even finishing this course. It's a 5-hour course, which is kind of long, but I have it broken down into 6 to 8 minute videos, and people are barely finishing this course. And I'm like, this course has so much information, and so many people can use this, but they weren't finishing it. So I'm looking like, okay, why keep running an ad to the course in this community? People are not in the community. I don't really like being on in this community. And it's like taking you away from social media. It's like weird. But I said, man, let me get another funnel that's like X, Y, and Z. So basically, me measuring it made me realize that this is not working in the way that I want it to work. So I had another funnel built, which cost me a couple more dollars. But I realized that the last thing wasn't exactly what I needed. But I was constantly looking at the numbers, and the new funnel is working. It's just the way it is. Stop looking for the easy way out. There's no easy way out. You gotta get your hands dirty. You gotta get your hands dirty. Whatever the KPI is in your business, in your relationship, if you are somebody that is not happy with your partner, then that is something that you sit down and have a conversation about. If you are a person that feels like you don't owe someone an explanation, you don't need to be in a relationship. If you are a person that feels like you are doing 100% your best, but your partner feels like you are not giving even half of what you're supposed to be giving, then you tell me who right. You tell me who wins out. You just have to be willing to listen to what your partner say. The same way you have to be willing to listen to whatever your your clients or your customers or whoever uses your product or service. You gotta listen to them. If they are saying that you are doing something that's not working, then you gotta change it up. If they're saying that what something that you're doing is actually working, then you do more of that. It's just that simple. Your business is falling apart because you are not measuring the things that you're supposed to measure. That's it.